there is a lot of power in learning how to evaluate your photos, because that will help you improve and you'll start to notice your style. So we're now switching gears a little bit from style to technical improvements, I guess. So starting from things like, is your subject actually sharp? Are the eyes sharp? I don't care about the nose. Nose can be blurry, whatever, I don't care. Are the eyes sharp? Can we actually see your subject? Does the background help, or is it super busy and distracting? Are there garbage cans? Is there stuff going on that isn't helping your photo? Does the composition help, or does it make it feel uncomfortable because you've cut the legs off, or the dog doesn't have space to look into, or doesn't have enough room around it for the photo to really breathe? Does the light flatter the subject, or is there like harsh light coming in from the side and it's like half the face is really bright, half the face is really dark, and it's just a bit eh? Does the editing support the image, or have you gone super, super dark and moody on a photo that doesn't need it, or so dark that you now can't really see the subject? So that checklist will be available. Don't panic. You can look at it later. You don't need it right this very second. Every time you evaluate your work, just think about what could be improved. And I know that's hard when you don't know what you don't know. That's why I'm here. That's why the learning journey is here. That's why the critiques are here. But if you aren't ready to go on that journey yet, then learning or teaching yourself how to critically evaluate your photos in order to improve is a really powerful tool. Good. So we're about to get on to the live critiques. Yay. A couple of things before we get started. A few disclaimers from me. If you are in my learning journey already, this comes at the start of the critiques almost every time. So keep in mind, I only have a very short amount of time per photo because we have about 20 photos. In the learning journey, I usually do around about 5 minutes per photo. That would end up at something around 2 hours tonight, which we're not doing. I usually get about 30 or so critiques a month. We have to split the video into 2 parts. It's a whole thing, but it's very, very detailed. We are not going that detailed today. We just cannot. So I have a timekeeper who is going to be keeping time for me in the chat. I'm going to be, he's so ready. You guys are going to be getting 2 minutes each. If I go a little bit over, he will yell at me. I'm scared. Not a second longer. See? And that's going to be what's happening. So about 2 minutes each. I am going to be giving you feedback. Because I only have 2 minutes, I'm probably not going to say something nice at the beginning. I'm just going to dive right into what needs to be improved. I know that from English speaking languages and backgrounds, we are very used to getting compliments first and then some critiques and then some compliments. I don't have time, and you're not going to learn anything if I'm like, oh my God, this is such a cute dog. I just love the way he's posing there looking so cute. Like, that's not helpful. So I'm going to kind of try and get straight to the point of what's actually beneficial. I don't know the story behind your photo. I don't know why the ears are pinned back and it looks stressed. I don't know why it's giving whale eye. I don't know why it looks the way it looks. All I know is what I have in front of me. Your audience also doesn't know the backstory to the photo, except maybe the owner if they were there. And we can get a feeling from photos. If a dog looks stressed, the photo's just not going to feel that pretty. So feel free to not defend the photo in the chat by being like, oh, but its ears were back because there were dogs over there. The photo is what I have in front of me, and that's it. You know what I mean? Okay, breathe. I'm going to critique from the ground up, which means that I'm going to start with things like camera settings, if you included the camera settings data, which I hope everybody did. Things like composition, things like light, things like pose. Then I'll maybe get into editing. I don't think it's worth critiquing or giving you advice on fancy editing techniques if you don't have a strong foundation in the first place, because you can edit all you want, but if the photo is completely blurry or the perspective isn't great, then you can't edit your way out of that. You know what I mean? Oh, someone's drawing on my screen and it's not the person that I thought it would be. Art is subjective, so you mightn't agree with my critiques. That is quite okay. You are most welcome to start a pet photography school and do critiques. Yeah, I'm gonna try and get through as many as I can, and we will see how we go. Sven says I'm now giving feedback German style. Yep, pretty much. It's like European style. Okay, let me get Lightroom open, and we are gonna pretty much get started. Yep. Okay, cool. So we have a cute little pup chewing on a stick here. I feel like the photo is quite kind of squished in. I wish there was a little bit more space, especially on this side here with the paw and the leg. It all just feels like really kind of tight and cramped in. It's a very like little candid photo, so I won't comment on the harness. I normally would. I feel like the light that's been built in from the side here is maybe a little bit much, especially since it isn't really supported by like the light on the face. It's one of those things where it's like, if I put some magical glowy yellow light here, the whole thing will feel a bit more magical, but I don't know if it's needed because it's not a glowy magical photo. It's more like a cute candid moment. So rather, I would be looking at maybe taking some of the blue out of the sky because that will make it feel a little warmer, a little less cool. If we can maybe desaturate that a little, or we could maybe just warm up the sky in general a little bit, because quite often when we have something blue, then it ends up feeling a bit cool and moody. So if we can take out some of that strong blue, and I don't know if you've enhanced the blue or if it just was that blue, because you've got like white, yellow here, and you've got like blue, strong blue up here. Rather than having this kind of strong hazy light coming from the side there, I would just give like a gentle spotlight from above, 30 seconds to go. Just to kind of, I don't think we need this sort of yellow haze over here, but otherwise, a bit more space. I like how low down you got. The focus looks pretty good. The ear looks like it's maybe a little bit chopped out, but that could be a masking thing or it could be a phone thing. I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, otherwise, cute little candid moment, couple of composition things, and a couple of editing things. Next! All right, here we go. We need to zoom out because this one is really zoomed in. Okay, cute. We have a lovely little pup in some backlight. This looks like a really difficult location because it looks like there was not a lot of like leaves and trees and things that are going to filter the light. So you end up with these like white blobs of where that is just basically open sky in the background. Like, wouldn't matter how much I darken this, that's just going to be white blobs. Unfortunately, like when you have these really bright areas of highlights, that can sometimes be a bit distracting. For me, I'm always looking for locations where you get more of this effect, where it's like these sparkly bokeh balls. And to get that, you need some leaves or some branches or something like that in order to make that work. The thing I will say though is that for me, the composition is a little bit difficult because we have a dog looking to the side, but we have a lot of space upwards. We have the dog with a long body, but the dog is kind of squashed into this narrow space, and we're giving a lot of attention to this space up here. Like half of the photo is just this white, bright, shiny light kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, I love some backlight, but it is a lot, and I don't think it's necessary. So what I would maybe rather do with this one, or would have done on location, would have been to actually take it in landscape orientation. I'm going to see if I can mock this up really quickly before the time runs out, if Photoshop's going to work. Let's go. Okay. I'm a big fan of photos being in landscape orientation, especially as dogs are horizontal creatures. No, don't give me the time yet. You can see if I do something like this, now obviously generative expand is going to be generating a lot of space right now. Oh, who's that? Let me just mute that. Thank you. So this isn't going to be the best option. I would have rather take the photo in landscape orientation, but just to give you an example of how the photo is going to feel a little bit different if we do this. I don't like that it's given me such a dark edge, but I think you can get the idea. If the dog was looking to light over here, thanks, Ray, that would work a lot better. And we've taken out a lot of that bright light from above, and we've given the dog more space. Can you see how here we're feeling quite squashed? And here we've just got more space to move. Thank you. Okay, next. Okay, we have a dog doing some hunting. This is a little bit of a tricky one because the dog is a little bit covered by the bird, which is obviously kind of the point. We have cool fog in the background. I wish there was a little bit more space under the paws here, because this is another one where it's like you have half the photo where you have half the photo that is like just the top of the thing. Like there's nothing. This is what I was kind of talking about yesterday, right? When I was like, or the day before, where I was like, if it's not helping the photo, is it taking away from the photo? Is it detracting from the photo? Is it adding to the photo? So my question is like, okay, yeah, we can see that there's some fog and stuff going up here, but we've got the composition as such that now the little legs have kind of been chopped off. They're hidden in grass, which is good. We've got the dog more or less in the center, but I'm wondering if it wouldn't be more powerful if we kind of brought him in and put him a little bit more in this sort of space. So it's more balanced top and bottom. You have the same kind of empty space at the top as you do at the bottom, and it's going to feel more balanced. Right now it feels very top heavy because there's all this sort of empty space at the top for nothing. There's nothing up there that's really interesting, except that, okay, it's a little bit foggy. Whereas now we can have a little bit more balance. The other thing that I would do with this one, and I know I'm moving really fast, but you know, time issues and all, would be to try and brighten up the face a little bit more if you can. Pulling up the white should do it, except you've got to watch that white stripe. Obviously, I'm doing it really fast, so you can do it on either side of the face instead of across the whole thing. The other thing I would look at doing would be to brighten up the catch lights here. Okay, how do we keep unmuting ourselves? It's very distracting and my brain can't handle it. Brightening out the catch lights, desaturating a little bit. That's going to make those eyes look a lot brighter. Have a look at the face now. There's your before and after of the face. Obviously, I did it really fast, so the white is spilling out a little bit, but I think you can see how much brighter and lighter the face looks just from that. Thank you. Next. All right, cool. Beautiful backlight shining through the fur here. For me, there's a little bit of a disconnect between this person standing there and the dog. Because I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's the owner, but it's just the legs. And this doesn't mean that we need to see the full body all the time. I just think there has to be some kind of connection between these random legs and this dog, whether that's a leash. Like, I think in this situation, actually, you could leave a leash on a dog and it would kind of make sense because then there is a physical connection between the dog and the person, whether the dog's looking up at the person, whether the dog is between the person's legs. For me, it's like, here's a dog, here's a person. Have a good day. And there isn't really a connection between the two of them. It's just some random legs and a random dog. Obviously, I would assume the legs belong to the owner, but who knows because they don't have a connection. The other thing, again, in terms of composition, yes, we have the dog centered, but have a look. We have a whole third of empty space here doing nothing. We have a third with a dog and we have a third with a person. So this empty space is being given as much priority as the legs are. And there's nothing going on here. So the other one I felt was top heavy because there was all this big empty space at the top. This one I feel like is like left heavy because yes, we've centered the dog, but theoretically we should center the two of them because the legs are also a subject, right? We just shoved the legs off to the side. They aren't important. We don't care about them. We care about the legs as much as we care about the empty space. Do you know what I mean? So with this one, I would probably want to maybe do something like that. What I would be kind of aiming for would be the same amount of empty space here as you have on the other side. Oh my God, how do I only have 25 seconds on this one? You're watching too intently. The other thing I would probably do with this one would be to just brighten up your dog a little bit more. Just watch those highlights that are there already. Pulling up the white should help. I'm doing it fast. You want to do it better than me so that you don't blow out the fur on the edges more. Maybe drop the saturation to take a little bit of the yellows out of there. Something like that. I know I'm at time. There you go. Brighten up the dog just a little bit more so it's not quite so dull. Next. Ooh. Okay, so we have a little spaniel on a, what is it called? A bench. Oh my God. This one's feeling quite cool. I know that these are like blue roan, but I believe that blue roan is basically a black and white and gray kind of colored dog. It might be that you wanted it to be cool for artistic effect, but personally, I would avoid having my black dog be extremely blue. So pulling up the temperature here will help. There's a little bit of purple there that could be coming from the magenta. Basically what I want to do with black dogs or black and white dogs is to get them to kind of a neutral color, like especially here around the eyebrows. If you have a look, it doesn't want to zoom out now. Okay. If you have a look around here, there's a little bit of blue, there's a little bit of yellow, there's a little bit of purple, etc., etc. And when we turn this down, that dog should now be black and white instead of blue. I actually don't mind the background being a bit warmer. I think that this dog has a really soft expression. It doesn't feel like the dog is sad. There is some rain, so again, it could be an artistic choice. But I will go back to what I kind of said yesterday, which is that I really like it when my subject is the correct color. If I want everything to be gray and moody, then I can edit that selectively like so. I'll just turn that down a tiny bit. So you can have something like that. So now the dog is more of a black and white color and your background is still moody and blue. For example, I wouldn't mask it like I just did. This is obviously very, very fast, but I think you kind of get the idea. If there's some yellow now in the coat, you can also potentially selectively remove that. Like that the dog's looking up into this space here. I think that that works quite well. Yeah, I don't know. This one's pretty simple, so there's not too much else that I would say, except maybe that the black of the bench is also very contrasty and dark, and I feel like in some ways it's like, wow, look at me, I'm a black bench. And the dog's like, I'm also black, but it's not quite as black, and then it gets a little bit lost. Okay, quick break. How are we all going? I know I'm going very fast. Remember, you can watch this back and pause it. I don't do the normal critiques this quickly. This is just today so I can get through them all as quickly as possible. I was pushing it there. What with the time? Rude. That was almost 20 seconds extra. Okay, fine. I didn't think I went over it all on that one. Okay, cool. So we have a little split face. I actually had one of these of Journey in the last thing. The difference with this one, there's two things that kind of stand out to me here. One is that the light in this one is a lot harsher. And when you have, it's because of remembering what a bench is called. When you have like the full shining sun happening, you end up with these teeny tiny catch lights. This also looks like it's focused a little bit forward. And this, in general, for me, I want the eye to be sharp and in focus. But when the photo is this, and it's literally just about the eye, because, you know, what else have we got? We've got a collar, which I think is very distracting in this case. When I think if this was a photo for advertising the collar, maybe I would then argue that we can't see enough of the collar and it's too blurry. So I have to assume, therefore, that the purpose of this photo really is the face and the eye. But then the eye itself is now out of focus. So the purpose or the focus of this photo right now is here. So that is something that if you're doing something this close up, we need to be spot on with the focus, because that is the main part of this photo, right? We also have the full sun, which is giving us this really shiny fur, not my favorite look. And because of the full sun, we end up with a catch light that is this tiny. If you go back in the booklet and you have a look at the photo of Journey that is like this one, you'll see he has this beautiful bright catch light that's going to make his eye look brighter. It's going to have a bit of a reflection in there. It's just going to lift the whole thing. This, with the sun there, will give you more of the colors and stuff because the sun is going to be shining on there, but you can bring that out in editing. You don't need the sun shining on there. I would definitely either remove or tone down the color because it's a lot. If you can also tone down this white spot at the top, or maybe use like a brush in Photoshop to go over that spot to make it blue just to blend it in, I would do something like that as well. I'm now getting 5-second countdowns in the chat. Yeah, good. Ha, I finished before you even said it. Okay, I like this foresty spot. It looks like you were dealing with quite some patchy light, which is always really, really challenging. I'm curious, I think this is some kind of like red tri dog. It's a weird, I can't decide if the photo is too cool and it's therefore ended up like a bit purple. Like if we have a look at this is a really purple dog. And I know that there's like lilac in Border Collies, but I don't feel like that's what this is. I don't know if this is just an interesting, weird colored coat, or if it is that I'm reading it and it's too cool and it should be a bit more like this, as in like a red color. Obviously, that's made the whole background go really insane, because when you warm things up, it does brighten things up as well. But it depends on the color of this dog. I don't know if the owner of the dog or the photo is in the chat to tell me, because this is one that I can't see just from seeing it. This is another one where I think the background is pretty but difficult, because again, you have the same problem as the other one with the bright background, in that you have a lot of these sections where it's just pure white. I don't know what the straight out of camera of this one looked like, whether there was some more data there that has gotten lost, or whether it would have been possible to underexpose to keep more of that data there. I don't know, because I don't know what the location looks like or what the straight out of camera looks like. But that would have been what I would be trying to do here, would be to try and preserve as much of that data and texture in the background as possible, so that you don't get these white sort of blobs there. I also do wonder if our dog has lost a bit of contrast. And I feel like you don't need to worry about like super brightening up the dog, because you have got a real bright background. So if the dog is a little bit darker and a little bit more contrasty, it's actually going to stand out against the background better. Okay, next, sorry. Okay, cool. So we have a lovely looking dog standing in front of a lake, and I doubt it. I was like, I don't know if Ray's gonna want this job. I don't know if this is a thing. Okay, but he's enjoying it, so I'm happy. Um, this is another one where we have a dog who is actually pretty much centered, but looking in this direction. And this composition would work perfectly if the dog was looking directly at the camera. You would have a lovely inside body with a lovely curve, and then the empty amount of space on either side would make sense. However, we have the dog looking over to the side. We have a lot of empty space here that isn't necessary, except to show us the rest of this sort of foggy thing that's going on. I think that I would have gotten the dog to look in a different direction for this one, either over here, so that you had this dark bit of the island as sort of a frame at the back. Dog can look into the lighter area, or looking straight at the camera for that symmetry. I would also be really careful of things like this hill cutting straight through the head here. So that is another thing. I also think, like, if you have a look at the histogram, a little bit of space here on the right, but really I feel like our dog could do with just a little bit more light, just to help it stand out a little bit more. There's a lot of light on the face, so I would just want to be careful about messing with that there too much. Also feels like the white balance is slightly off, but I'm not going to have enough time to mess with it. But just that helps it pop just a little bit more. But otherwise, the main thing here for me would be composition mostly. Even just giving the dog a little bit more space at the top of the head. Again, it feels like there's a lot of space down here, and then it's quite squished in at the top. So just really thinking about your composition, where the dog's looking, where the balance is. If we've got the dog centered, it probably makes a lot more sense for the dog to be looking forward than to the side. Okay. I was like, surely that's time. Like, what is happening up here? You can quit your dog physio job, only this one now. I think this is where I got the nickname Time Lord, although that time ago, actually. Okay, this is a really interesting one. We have got a lot of this sort of yellowy grass going on and a big, big sky. Some interesting stuff happening with the light as well. It looks like this side is quite in shadow and this side had a much stronger light. I like that you can kind of see the wind in this one. I think this is quite cool. My question a little bit is, because there's a few elements here that aren't necessarily coming together to maybe show me what you want to show me. Because we've got the dog kind of looking somewhere. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's looking over here to the right of the photo, but then you have all this empty space on the left. So did you want me to pay attention here or do you want me to pay attention over here? I thought that was next from me already. We've got like this big sky, but that doesn't feel like the feature of the photo. Even though like most of the photo is the sky, it just feels a little washed out. And that might be the style, that might be the choice that was made to be like, look, this is like a really natural kind of blue sky or whatever. You've got the dog's expression looking happy. It's just I'm sort of like, what are you wanting to, he's still at 60. What are you wanting to show me in this moment? What was it about this moment that made you want to take this photo with this really interesting perspective? Because I think there's something really interesting going on here in terms of like you have the hill and then the sky and like nothing else. There's no landscape. You've got this sort of curly coat of the dog and the red with the red matches really nicely. But where are we looking? What are we doing? We're just standing here on the hill. Do you want me to see that this is a cool sky? Can we in some way enhance the sky to make it make more sense? Can we maybe even out the light a little bit onwards to make that side a little bit less dark? Okay, I have to move on, sorry. Okay, ooh, interesting. So we have a dog here on some rocks, I think. I understand the mood that we're going for, but what I'm wondering is whether the light makes sense and whether it works. Because we have a lot of light back here on the ground. And then we have like a lot of light specifically here. And it's kind of like it's kind of like somebody is shining a torch on this dog from like forward. And then but somehow also the background is bright. So what I would be asking you is, where is your light coming from? Because if it's coming from like overhead, then I think that probably this part of this stump or rock or whatever it is probably needs a little bit of light too. And possibly like this bit and possibly up here a little bit more. I think it's a really tricky situation for how you want to work that light. It just feels like it's very strong, particularly here. And I don't know if it 100% makes sense just yet, especially with the section behind here also being very bright. Let's see if we can fix that. The other thing is, look how shiny that nose is. The other thing is that I think we can do my little catch light trick that I did before. Just gonna make a radial on the catch lights here. This will make the eyes look so much brighter without you having to brighten up the eyes. Let's see if we can just do this really quickly. Oh, that one's going to be weird. Let me take it off of here and we just do a separate one there. Wait, the time. Okay, let's have a look. I couldn't fix this 100% how I want to, but can you see how we take the focus away from the light here on the corner? And then we can move it to the dog if we had more than 2 minutes. We don't. All right, cute little puppy on the move. I feel like it's potentially a bit cool. Yeah. So we're seeing a bit of blue and purple in here. Let's warm this up. Puppy photos are cute and happy and generally warm. Having a bit of blue here and here is super, super normal. Like, don't feel like if you're correcting the white balance that you have to do this. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Like, you do not have to get rid of every trace of blue ever. I just want to get, like, especially around the eyebrows, this is where I normally look. I want to try and get the blue out of there as much as I can. Now let's have a look. I bet that is already going to feel a lot happier and brighter. The other thing I'm wondering is if, because I'm assuming this wasn't like a dark gray puppy, but more of like a black and white puppy, right? We have a lot of light on the white parts, like here and on the side are so bright that they're pretty much blown out. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. I would definitely be seeing if I can drop the highlights there. And then on the other hand, the face feels really dark gray, so I would be trying to make that a stronger black rather than being like, I need to brighten this up like crazy, otherwise nobody's going to be able to see my puppy. Why don't we actually keep it like a strong black? It's probably going to pop more if it's a stronger black than a darker gray. Especially if you've got this sort of very pale kind of pastel low contrast background going on in the back there. And I also want to have a look at what has happened to the eyes now. We need to edit our eyes in 3 parts. I'm not going to have time to talk about it, but we've done catch lights already. If you have a look at your original, can you see how there's really not a lot of distinction between the iris, this colored part, and the pupil, the dark part? When I do this, we have a lot more distinction. I want you to have a look at how the eyes probably look a bit clearer and healthier now compared to there where they're a little bit more hazy and washed out. So do with that what you will. Next, okay, we have a very strong looking Doberman with some very interesting light. The light looks like it is quite strong sunlight, and I think it is the actual light that is shining on the dog. This is a little bit tricky because what we've kind of done is, yes, we've highlighted the face, but it feels like the head is quite disconnected from the body at this point because the head is like this shiny, shiny gray, and actually I think it might be a little bit cool. Here we go. You remember yesterday, everybody who was here, I said people love to edit cool. So this is the 3rd blue dog we've seen so far. So it feels a little bit like, and I don't know if you've brightened up the face of the dog as well as having the sun on it, or if it's just because the body was in such shadow that it is so much darker, and that's where that disconnect is coming from. Personally, if the sun is out, I'm avoiding getting that sun on my dog as much as possible. Like I might have like a little patch here or there, like small patches that don't matter. If I have to have the dog in the sun, I would be trying to get him to face into the sun. I'd probably want his body evenly lit as much as possible rather than having one side that is super bright and shiny and one side that is super dark and shadowy. What I would probably try and do with this one would be to even out the light a little bit. So something like maybe we drop highlights here, add some blacks, add some shadows maybe, something to try and get this face from looking less shiny and gray and more like the rest of the dog. And then on the flip side, I would get the rest of the dog to be a little bit brighter and a little bit shinier and a little bit more like the head so that the light feels more even. Can you see how the light is now more even on the dog? There's some other things I would do in terms of reducing distractions in the background, but I have to stop because I'm going to get yelled at. I'm scared. That was not a bad dude. His brows. Wait, this dog? Oh, yeah, he looks angry. Okay, cool. So we have a little dog here with some interesting editing, I think, going on. I will admit, and I hope you don't take this the wrong way or that it doesn't upset you, when I saw this first in the drive, because of and I'm going to assume the light rays were added in here. I mean, it does kind of look foggy in the background, and it also kind of looks foggy on the ground. Like there's the same kind of low contrast, low blacks look here on the ground as there is everywhere. So it feels like an edited decision. When I saw this with the sun rays were pointing a bit at the butt, and it just felt like they were shining on the dog's butt a little bit. That can be solved by how you're posing the dog. If you're posing the dog, it could be a more candid moment. I don't know. But instead of having the dog side on like this, you would have the dog on a kind of diagonal angle, looking over its shoulder exactly like it is now. And then it is going to look into the sun rays. If you look at any of my sun rays photos, you'll see that I have the dog diagonal so that they have this sort of curve up in their body, and then they look up into the sun rays when the sun rays are naturally there. I do think that there is quite a disconnect in this dog between where he's standing and himself because the contrast is so different. There is not a lot of blacks in the ground at the moment, but there is a lot of contrast in the dog, which can often result in a bit of a sticker effect. So what I'm just going to do is add that black back in. Did you cut my dog out or not? No, it didn't. Does not want to select subjects today, apparently. Maybe we can select an object. We'll just pretend that the dog is an object and see what it thinks. Select that for me. That is a dog. You gonna do it? Yes, more or less. So instead of having it kind of floating on this foggy, hazy ground, it's standing on a place where it matches. This photo, I would also say we've got a dog looking to the side, but we have a lot of space going on up here. I would be doing this in landscape, and I would be getting much, much, much lower. If you remember what I said about having half the photo as ground, this is one of the ones where that definitely applies next. Super happy dog running on the beach, feeling very cool to me. Thing is, this photo is so happy. But see how there's like, I don't know if this is a pure white dog or a creamy colored dog is the thing. If this is a creamy dog, it is too cool. If it is a pure white dog, then it's about right. If it's more of a cream colored dog, I would say we need to be about there. The thing is, this dog has, you've got like a smudge on your camera lens up there. Can you see that circle? This dog has such a happy expression. He's running, the ears are flying, mouth is open, we're on the beach, we're living our best life, but everything feels very subdued. And the sky is super cool and kind of dark. And I don't mind the dark sky because I like some clouds, but everything feels very cool, very dark, very moody. What if we just open this space up a little bit? You have to be really careful with vignettes on the beach in open landscapes. Oh, look how much our dog needs to be brightened up, like a lot. Maybe not the head, but like the rest of the dog, I think, can do with some more light. Hang on, let me take that off the head. Again, guys, I know I'm going super, super fast and like crazy with all these masks and everything, but you can see how little time I have. Okay, look at that. I think we could even probably warm it up more, especially like if you look at the sand as well. The sand is like a gray blue there, and I don't know that, I mean, some sand is, I guess. But I think like when you have such an expression and running and movement and motion and action, then we don't want it to feel all deep, dark, and moody. Oh, that's maybe my favorite one so far. Yeah, I would do something like that. Maybe we even open up this top bit a little bit more, just really give him a bit of light from above. I know that I just put that on the dog. He's really blown out. You definitely don't want to do it as much as I did. But we don't want the time lord to get angry. We are moving on. Okay, how are we going for actual time? Okay, it is pretty much 8 o'clock. How many do I have left? What is that? We're at 15. We have 23. That's 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 to go. 8 minutes. That'd be another 15 minutes. Should I continue? I don't know. Do I always edit in Lightroom? I do a lot of the critiques in Lightroom because it's faster than in Photoshop. I edit equally. I mean, I edit probably more in Photoshop than in Lightroom, but it's much, much, much easier to do critiques in Lightroom. It is 8 o'clock. I don't know what to do. I hate making decisions. What do I do? I still have to tell you about the learning journey. I've already critiqued 15 photos. I did not promise that I would get through all of them. If you stick to the 2 minutes, I'll allow it. Okay. Oh, it's always so like high stress for me. I don't know. Okay. No stretching. So rude. Okay, all right, here we go. Let's go. Very pretty location with the tulips. Very pensive looking expression, I guess. I mean, it's okay. The back of the neck here is looking super white. I would just drop the highlights there a little bit. This is another one. There is light above, but like this side of the face is super dark. So I think we could probably, let's pull up the whites there, maybe the shadows a little bit. We want to be able to see the face, not the back of the neck. This is another one that I feel like is quite a little bit moody. It's like there's a bit of a disconnect with like the flowers and the tulips, which are like pretty flowers, yay. There's like a bit of light that's been built in at the top here, but then the edges are super dark and moody. There's like a lot of richness in the flowers. There's a big vignette down the bottom here, but then like this bit here is a completely different kind of green that doesn't match this bit here. And so it's like, what does the light like shine in front of the dog and then stop? Because that's not usually how light works. I think you could probably do with a little bit more space under the butt here, just because I'm getting distracted by the chat now. Yeah, it just feels like a little bit close there. There's something interesting with the composition, maybe because there's more flowers on this side and it's a little bit like unbalanced like that potentially. I understand why you did it though, because there's your blurry foreground. But just playing with the light a little bit more, I think would be beneficial here. Let me just see what would happen if we just, yeah, see, I don't like that it's getting hazier. Yeah, just be thinking about the light, especially down the bottom there as well. Oh, I finished before it was done. Sorry. I was skipping ahead. I thought that was my I thought that was my time. I just saw things in the chat and I was like, oh no, I've run out of time. I used to do these in 1 minute on Instagram Live. So 2 minutes is like a luxury. I love that I'm helping Emily procrastinate. I appreciate that. I am all for procrastinating in like an active way. Okay, so we have a little indoor photo here. Obviously, light indoors is difficult, though I will question, and this is why I want you guys to upload your camera settings when you're doing critiques. If you don't know how the exposure triangle works, bear with me for just a minute. 1/60th of a second is a little bit dangerous because we're going to invite motion blur. If you have a look at this photo, you'll see it's not super tack sharp. Feels a little bit like it's going. That's going to be your motion blur from your shutter speed. So if you're holding it and you happen to move your camera a tiny bit when you take the photo, that's when you're going to get that motion blur. Your aperture at f4.5 is saying, hey, I don't want to, so your aperture is like the eyeball or the pupil of the lens. At f1.8, which your lens can do, it's like wide open. It's letting in all the light that it can possibly let in. At 4.5, that gets smaller. So it's saying let in less light, but show me more of the background. In this case, we're not in a landscape situation. There's nothing in the background that I need to see. F4.5 is limiting your light and it's showing more background. Neither of those things are particularly helpful for this photo. Because you're at f4.5, you're letting in less light. That means you have to have a higher ISO, or you have to have a slower shutter speed. Like one or the other has to give. Your ISO is going to make your photos have a bit more noise. I don't think that's actually a massive issue in this photo. I think the bigger issue is the shutter speed. If you had dropped your aperture down to f1.8, you would let in a heap more light, and that would mean you could put your shutter speed up so that your photo doesn't get blurry. I think this is a very cute little homey moment. I like that you've got some light on the dog's face. There is a bit of blue here on the neck that I would have a look at. And I would also just want to make sure that I am giving the dog enough space. Like here, right at the very edge of the photo is the ear. So I would just give the dog a little bit more space. And it is one of those ones where I'm like, okay, what do you want to show me apart from how cute and sweet your dog is? Can you play with the perspective a little bit? So maybe this doesn't feel like a happy snap. Okay, it's next. Okay, I ran out of time, sorry. Okay, cool. So we have a dog in a little train carriage here. I would say that the dog at this point is getting a little bit lost in the darkness. If you have a look over here at the histogram, I mentioned the histogram yesterday in the webinar as one of the things that I check. This is what I would do. At the moment, my photo is bunched up down here at the blacks. That makes sense. I have a really big black square just here. But you can see there's nothing over here on the whites, so we don't have any pure whites. We really don't have any highlights. We really don't have any midtones. And the dog is just, we also have a dark brown dog with a white chest against a dark brown background. So do you know what I see in this photo? White chest, white writing. That is where my attention went. So the question is, what do you want me to notice? Balloons! Because it's probably not what you want me to notice. Let's pull up the shadows for a start. That's going to give me a little bit more detail in the background. Let's give the dog a little bit more light to work with here. I don't necessarily want to highlight that bit in the back like I have, so maybe we can just brush that off of there a little bit. Okay, this one's going to be a good one, I reckon. Have a look. Yes, we have more detail in the background, but I think we can also see our dog a lot more. If we did something like pulling up blacks in the background, we might even be able to see. I love the way it's like the ears aren't part of this. If we pull up the blacks there a little bit, but keep the contrast in the subject, that might also help the dog stand out there as well. Yeah, I would probably remove the collar on this one unless it is serving some kind of point. I would probably want to, this is another one where I'm like, okay, what is the main feature of this photo apart from that it's on a train carriage? Do you need all of this massive space at the top here? Like this whole top part is like half the photo, but all of the action is down here, right? Can you pose the dog somewhere? Can you do something different so that you can condense that so you don't have the empty space? I'm going, I'm sorry. Don't hate me. Okay. All right. This is an interesting one because it kind of comes back to what I was talking about yesterday in terms of where your eye goes. Because I would argue that at the moment my eye is coming over here. Your dog is looking up here, but this area is really blocked by the dark. It looks like the light is a little bit interesting. The sun was over there. You can see it in the corner of the eye. But the face is quite bright, so I'm guessing you've brightened that up. It's all just messing with my head a little bit because everything's backwards. So what I would probably want to do would be to drop the highlights on this side. Like, don't brighten behind the dog. We want to brighten in front of the dog. And then give the light, bring the light in from over here so that your eye has some room to move where the dog's eye is looking. Yeah. You might also need to build the light on the side of the dog if we're pretending that the light is coming in from the left rather than the right. I would probably be looking at removing this leash if you can, but it is over the harness, so it might be a little bit tricky. This is another one of those ones where I'm like, okay, what did you want to show me here? Was it something about the way that the light was shining on the trees in the background? If so, maybe we don't want to darken them out completely. We want to draw attention to them. The dog is looking at them. Let's bring our attention there. Maybe we don't let the eye come to the back quite so much. Like, this is where I'm like, what do you want to show me? It's a lovely photo of a dog sitting and looking upwards, but maybe there's something else you want to show me here. I don't know if your lens has a wider aperture. I don't think these ones normally do. If so, I would use it so that you can also have a bit of a faster shutter speed to make sure you aren't getting motion blur as well. But yeah, something like that is what I would do with that one. Ha, I finished. Next. All right. I am being thoroughly entertained just because you're used to my chaos by now, Susie. And I think it must be fun for some of you learning journey guys who have seen so many critiques by now that I can only imagine you're sitting there being like, this is what she's going to say. And then being like, yes, when you're right. Because we don't normally do it live, guys. Normally it's recorded so they don't get to enjoy. And like, this is a lot more chaotic and frantic than normal. So good. Okay, this is an interesting one because it's kind of like halfway between black and white and not. And I will admit that I am not sure that that style works for me personally, because it's kind of like, also I think the light on this one's a little bit weird before I jump into editing. Oh, there's some interesting editing effects going on here too, some kind of filter or something. I don't know if the light was from the filter effect or if it was really strong sun on the face, but this grass doesn't look sunny, so I think it's fine. The question is like, do you want me to notice the tan spots of the dog? Like, do you want me to notice the tan cheeks? If so, you've done it, and that is what I'm noticing. It could be a very stylistic decision. I am just not sure what the focus is or what you're wanting me to understand about this photo. Do you know what I mean? Like, because at the moment it's like everything's black and white except the cheeks and the eyebrows. So it's like, okay, cool. I will look at the cheeks and the eyebrows. The stripe in the middle of the face is feeling super blown out and white. So there's no sort of detail happening here anymore. Like, this just feels a little bit overwhelming. For me personally, like, I would either go all black and white or all color. And I know everybody's scared of greens and grass and that kind of thing, but they are editable. I can't make a call on the light. I do feel like this line here, which is very sharp, it feels like this part is in the sun and this part is in the shade. And the thing is, like, if I'm grass is cool, don't be scared. If I'm asking all these questions about what you're wanting to show me in this photo with this style, with this technique, with these editing choices, then it's likely your audience is too. And I think that that is the thing. It's like, why have we made these choices? Do you want to show me the eyes because they're brown? Okay, but then we need to do something about that because I can't really see them. They're so muted. You know what I mean? So lots of things to think about. I don't know if I gave you solid advice. It was more like a lot of questions, and hopefully some of them will lead you in a direction. Okay, cool. So I wish there was yeah. Okay. This is a fun one because I think this comes back to what I was talking about on day 1 of the webinar, where it's like, what are you wanting to show me? What is the purpose of the photo? I feel like the purpose of this photo, apart from the cute dog, is the graffiti in the background. But we're not seeing a lot of the graffiti in the background because we're in so close to the dog that it becomes more about the dog and the grass and the busy grasses that are in the front. So then my question is like, assuming the graffiti was the point of this photo and you're like, look at this cool graffiti. I want to take a photo with my dog in front of the graffiti. Let's go. And then you're like, yeah, but let's put the dog amongst all the grass and the graffiti can be there. I don't know if you can get to the graffiti, right? There might be a friggin' river between you and the graffiti. I have no idea, right? Might not be possible. But for me, if I'm like, okay, here's this cool thing. How can I showcase that cool thing? What is going to be getting in the way of me showcasing this cool thing? In this case, it would be like, well, the grass feels like a lot. The composition is a little bit interesting. We're really cut through the bottom of the dog's paws here. We're super in tight. So it's like, this photo is 100% about the dog and nothing else. Don't worry about the cool graffiti. That's just there in the background. It's fine. Don't look at it. So this is where that like intentionality of like, what am I wanting to show you and how can I show you that thing really comes into play. So I think it's fun that we have an example. I don't think you can remove the grasses to make them less distracting. I would maybe get rid of some of the ones that go in weird directions. There is a fair bit of blue on our dog's nose. I will also say the shutter speed here is very fast. This is something I would use for puppies running around, action photos, that kind of thing. If you lower your shutter speed so it's slower, like 1/400th of a second, you can also have a lower ISO. That will mean you have less noise and you have better image quality, which will help you have more detail on your dog. Let me just get rid of the blue on the nose because it's going to annoy me. Radial filter, pull up yellows. Let's go. Oh, I saw some colors. Did anybody else see some colors in this dog when I was zoomed in? Ooh, the camera settings look nice. The lens is nice. It's my favorite. Right, let's go. We have a purpley blue dog here. And I know this is a blue merle, but I've owned a blue merle in my life. I had a blue merle Aussie, and I can guarantee you she was not blue. She was gray. She was black and white and gray. So we need to, and look, these colors, again, as always, could be a stylistic choice. I believe they are because when I mess with the overall white balance, everything's going crazy, which suggests to me that there is something where there's been some color grading where like the shadows are one color and the highlights are another color. Because usually if I mess with the white balance and it doesn't fix itself, like have a look, if I pull up the temperature now, there's like crazy yellow, but there's still so much blue in the shadow. So I think that this has been some kind of color grading edit, which is going to mean I'm not messing with it because it is really hard to undo. I thought this photo was so cool, as in not, this is so cool, but as in it's cold, like it's blue. I thought that the white flowers were snow. And I don't know if that is necessarily the look that you're going for when you're doing pretty spring flower photos. I would be more inclined to go for like warm, pretty, bright, hopeful, spring, rebirth, blah. So yeah, I mistook your flowers for a spring and for snow. I'm sorry. I would probably be more inclined to not have the photo quite so cool. I also, yeah, I mean, that is the main thing for me with this one. I like the composition. The dog has space to look into over here. The eyes look like they're like looking in different directions, but I don't think they are. Mostly about the colors. The exposure looks really good. The focus looks really good. The camera settings look really good. You could maybe mess with this reflection here a little bit just to tone that down because having a catch light at the bottom of the eye doesn't usually work so well. I'm going to the next photo. I'm not even looking at the chat. Got to invest again. Okay, this is such a happy looking pup. This is kind of like, you remember in the webinar I said yesterday about black holes? I have a little bit of a black hole happening back here and back here. That usually happens when we have like a lot of light in the foreground and a lot of dark in the background. I would say that the pose for me is not 100% working because If you got the dog up here and it was actually sitting on this stump, perfect, would be great. Because we have the legs down hidden behind the stump, it's like the dog's legs have been chopped off at the what is that even? That's the hip, that bit of the leg, the knee, sort of. So it just looks a little bit awkward. It's like we have no legs left. Frey's like, oh, we have talked about dog anatomy so much over the past 6 months. What is wrong with you? Okay, something interesting happening with the colors here too. I feel like we're a little bit something. I would have said red, but looking at this, I'm not sure anymore. Maybe there's some other. Okay, this is one where as well, if we look at the histogram, I think we can brighten up probably most of the thing. Let's pull up the shadows. That'll make me happier. There is something weird going on with the colors though. It's like yeah, it's a little bit magenta. That's the issue. I like the expression a lot, but I do think you can do more with playing with that expression in terms of the mood of the photo. Like, let's maybe give the dog a little bit more light up here in the background. Yeah, maybe not that big, but you kind of will get the idea in a second. Like right now it feels very dark and moody. Dark, moody, happy dog. Now everything's lifted, it's a little bit lighter, it's a little bit brighter, and it fits the mood a little bit more. I also feel like this stump is on such a slant, but I can't orient myself because we don't have enough of the stump. So also just playing with the crop a little bit would be interesting. Maybe it's because the background is red instead of green, and it's like, why is that red when it's not a backlight thing? I don't know. There's something interesting going on with the colors in the background there as well. But yeah. Okay, next. Sorry. I'm sorry. It's the last one. Leave me alone. Don't bully me. Okay, you know, it's bullying me. She's now just ignoring the chat because we're too chaotic. I know, because you guys are chatting and I can't. If I glance over there, I'm like, oh, something's happening. I don't know. Embrace the chaos. Okay, we have the very lucky last one. This looks like a lovely senior dog. Couple of things in terms of composition for me, in that we have got a quite chopped dog. We have chopped through the little elbows here, and we have chopped through the little butt here. We have a lot of empty space happening here, and then we have a dog that doesn't fit. I understand if the empty space was because you're like, ooh, look, flowers. But then I think you need to change either where the dog is posed or the angle that you're taking this photo from, so that we don't have, again, this unbalance where you've got like, a dog gets chopped and then the empty flower space. Because I don't think that we need to give equal weight to the two. And there's definitely ways that you can like showcase the flowers without giving it half the photo to the blurry flower background. The little stripe of this dog is super, super bright. I like that you've brightened up the face, but this is feeling like a bit much. Let's just tone it down so we can get some fur texture back there. I think you could also play with the catch lights like I have been. It feels a little bit motion blurry, but I don't have your camera settings, so I don't know how fast your shutter speed was. It just feels a little bit soft, maybe. I could be wrong. It could just be the lens. You can brighten up the eyes like that. We can also, I don't know if you saw, I dropped the saturation, take a lot of the blue out of those catch lights, and that will also help them feel brighter as well. Have a look at that. Where have we shifted our focus from the nose to the eyes? That's what I want to do. The only other thing, and this might just be because the ear was in amongst the little branch here, but it feels like it's a little bit back, like the dog's like, oh, I'm in the branches and I don't like it's touching my ear. So possibly getting him just over here a little bit would mean that he's like, yay, my ears are up. And then he is looking a lot cuter and happier. But for me, the main thing here is the composition. And this is one where it's like, I'm not going to necessarily talk about editing because it is about the composition. And, you know, you've got this sort of stick going on down here, blah, blah, blah. You get the idea. Just be watching out where you're composing things. It's done. Okay, great. Hey, can I talk about the learning journey again now? Cool. I hope you enjoyed the critiques, guys. If you like them, that is a monthly thing that I do, but I do them a lot calmer and I do them with a lot more detail, and I take my time and I actually show you what I'm doing instead of going insane. The PDF from the session will be definitely made available. I will pop it up once I am finished. And everything that I talked about tonight, I think, yeah, everything that I talked about tonight, all the camera settings, the composition stuff, the location stuff, the editing stuff, there's lessons on all of that in the membership. So, you know, if you are like, wow, I got so much out of this today, just imagine having all those lessons at your fingertips. I'm so good at selling my product. I love it. I love selling things. You know, if you've been here before, you've seen the screen. If not, this is basically what you would get in the membership. It's a monthly membership or a yearly membership or a lifetime membership. If you decide that you want to be with us forever, we have a lifetime option now. If you hate subscriptions and you really just want to dive in, there's the lifetime option. You get all of the like the new lessons as they come out. You just pay once and you just get it forever. So that is also an option. But otherwise, it will be open as of May 1st. However, all of you guys who have signed up for the webinar will get an early bird link sent to you tomorrow. If you are on my normal mailing list and you didn't officially sign up because I didn't make you sign up and you would like to sneak in early, just send me an email and I will send you the link specifically, especially. Sven, I am really glad you found the critiques entertaining. That was so entertaining and educational, better than anything on TV. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Maybe I should do live critiques more often, guys. I don't know. I always feel so stressed about it though. Like you guys are going to critique my critiques and you're going to be judging me for what I'm saying and then I get scared. Just imagine her being able to give a critique without being yelled at every 2 minutes. Exactly. It's me, a lot more calm and a lot more in control of my life. Are you only doing feedback on dogs photos? No, I mean, it is a pet photography membership, but if there's like a horse, if there's a cat, I will critique them. If you upload a photo of a human, I'm going to be like, okay, interesting choice, but I'll probably still critique it. We are mammals after all, I guess. Just, you know, it is my membership, it is my photography. We obviously have a lot of guests in and everything else, but you know. Will we get the recording from today as well? I was late and missed my photo. I did critique everything that was uploaded up until 7 o'clock this evening because I downloaded them just before I went live. But yes, the recording, as always, will be available within 24 hours. It is a Sunday evening. I wouldn't mind just going and enjoying my Sunday if that's okay with everybody, but it will be up tomorrow on the webinar page. Are you showing editing in Photoshop in the course? Yes, definitely. Thanks, Frey. There is heaps and heaps of Photoshop resources. There's at least 2 Photoshop for beginners workshops. So even if you're completely new to Photoshop, you can go from there. All of my editing tutorials, except the Lightroom only ones, have a Photoshop component because I always edit in Photoshop. So yeah, there's like a whole course that's nothing but editing tools and techniques, and the majority of those are in Photoshop. So yeah. Think you'd make auctioneers jealous speaking that fast. I feel bad for speaking so fast. I hope everybody was able to keep up. Here's a little testimonial from Micah, who I haven't seen in a while, but I really loved everything that she learned from when she was taking photos with Jordan, that it just became such a lovely activity for her and Jordan because she had a lot of stress and pressure around taking photos with Jordan. Jordan really didn't want to pose or stay, and I was just really like, just let her be, take the photos of her, let her tell her story, and then she really started to enjoy taking those photos, and this was her little glow up from before she started to later on. And some more testimonials. So yeah, the sausage. Awesome. I hope you guys have enjoyed everything and the 3 webinars. If you have any questions about the learning journey, if any of you guys in the Zoom who have been members for a while want to say anything, feel free. If anybody's on the fence, I'm pretty sure any of these guys would be happy to chat with you about what it's like, how it goes, how it works, what's in there, what it's all about. I don't want to spill their Instagram because I feel like that would be a breach of privacy. But if you can figure out a way of contacting them, I'm sure they'd be happy to talk about it. And yeah, the doors will only be open for about 5 days from the 1st to the 5th. We are editing live with Sabrina on the 4th. So if you join before then, you are most welcome to come and join us. Are you teaching tips and tricks in Photoshop in the course? Yeah, actually, do you know what? Let me show you. Because then you can see, because this is definitely something that is included. So this is the dashboard where everything happens. These are all the newest uploads. So there are 44 pages of uploads. That is from the past couple of years. You can find everything you want by topic if you're like, I want to do something about location today. But you can also work through in terms of your learning stage, which you can find in this little document. You can see what stage suits you best. You can either work your way through from start to finish, or you can jump to whatever stage best describes where you're at in your photography journey. These are where all the editing tutorials are, and then we have the editing tools and techniques, which are more or less almost all Photoshop. So these are all editing workshops. Some of these I sell separately. Most of them go for an hour or two. Things, more specific techniques that you might want to do, most of them in Photoshop. So lots of things. And then I'm always adding stuff there. I add stuff here every couple of months, so there's always new things there. Then there's the editing tutorials. So you start with one at each stage, and then you get something different every month. If I scroll down, this is getting a little bit of a revamp, but you'll get the idea. So these, and then you get this one, then this one, then this one, and then they release as time goes on while you're a member with us. And then there are some old ones. These are available immediately as soon as you join, just because they are a little bit older now. But that is like 6, 7, 8 tutorials there immediately. A 9, 10 in this section, and then I think there's at least 1 or 2 in each of the other sections. So plenty, plenty, plenty of stuff. Let me see. I'm sold. Yay, Sarah! I can't wait to meet you in the learning journey. That is so cool. It's usually not as chaotic as today. It really isn't as chaotic today. I get a little caught up in the time crunch and just want to get as much said as I possibly can. Plenty of visual comparisons, which I found helpful early on. Yes. Love my visual. And like, this is what works, this is what doesn't work. A lot in writing and in videos and in example galleries. Thank you so much. So, yay, Susie. So much info in the learning journey. You'll never really ask for anything other than critiques. Yeah. And the thing is like, I'm very much like, if my members are like, oh, I wish we had this. What I think the other day someone was like, I wish we knew how to do sky replacements or something. So I made a lesson on sky replacements like the month after. So I'm very, very open to guidance and feedback and suggestions from my members to build it into something that's very valuable for you guys. Yeah, and all the guest speakers as well. Exactly. So, because I do my thing, I try and give you guys as much broad information about everything as I can. But, if I can get a studio specialist in, or somebody who's an expert in dog health and safety to come in and, give a guest talk or something, then I'll do that. And I'm always getting guests. We have guests almost every month at the moment. So plenty of stuff going on. All right, good. Then I will let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the energy. I hope to see a bunch of you guys in the learning journey once it opens. Keep your eyes peeled for an email tomorrow. If you don't hear from me, just get in touch on Instagram because something's gone wrong, I guess, and I will just send you the link to come and join us. Big shout out to Frey too. Yay, he was the best timekeeper. Good. Have a lovely rest of your evening, guys. Bye.